Welcome everybody, I'm Teresa Kruze. Welcome to Living Clean, Living Well, and as I always say, it's so great to see you and thank you for inviting us into your homes and your lives once again. Tonight is going to be a transformational show and quite possibly one that could change your life. Tonight we welcome Joanna and Tanya to the show tonight. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you for having us.
You betcha. Well, tonight, you can see I'm so anxious to get going here and out of the gate. Tonight, we are going to ask the question, what is holding you back from getting the life that you want? How about this? If you were trying to overcome an addiction, we are asking you, what is sabotaging you from living clean, living well? And tonight, these ladies have been working within this area of inner healing, which is so important for all of us. It doesn't matter whether you're going through an addiction. That doesn't matter. I think what these ladies are about to tell you tonight will be able to help a lot of people out there with a lot of life issues. I know I was very interested when I was reading all of their work. Now, Tanya, you agreed to be the one that is going to give us an overview about what everyone can expect tonight. Go ahead.
Thank you, Teresa, and we're so excited to be here because sabotage is one of the most important topics when people are trying to create a wonderful new life for themselves and break free from either an addiction or abuse or simply a bad pattern that's been holding them back. And tonight we're really excited to talk about specifically the 7 subconscious beliefs that really sabotage people's life and how to overcome them. Because what we don't realize is actually what's sabotaging us is below our awareness. Most people have really a great intention to be able to do something new with their life, but what they don't realize is that there's an automatic default programming that's already been pre-programmed into the brain in our childhood, and that's truly what's sabotaging us and holding us back. So we're really excited to meet the people who are going to call in tonight and really hear about what's really troubling you, what's really bothering you, and then give some insight from a therapist's point of view as to what you can do to overcome it.
Oh, fabulous. You know what? I was going to ask for a little bit of the background, but we've already got a phone call. So why don't we just open up those phone lines tonight? Let's go to line 1, and calling in from Burlington is Esther. Hi, Esther. Welcome to the show.
Wow. Thank you for taking my phone call. I'm surprised you took me so quickly. What's holding me back? I'll tell you really truthfully and honestly. I think poverty is one, not getting justice as justice should be due. I was hurt at work and then immediately terminated and found out all kinds of unlawful actions happened, and I go to different parts of the government to get justice and I get shrugged off because my case documentation is that I should get justice, and literally the government is jealous and the people are too. And it's very difficult. They don't want to proceed through. Anyway, and lately it has been death after death. This week, 4 close friends and relatives have passed away. 4. Last month had another one. 6 months ago, another one. It's just very, very difficult. And I turn, my substance is sugar. I love sugar. It's been my best friend ever since I was 2 years old. I could drink it like you have coffee, and anyway, and the more stress I'm in, the more I turn to it. And it's terrible. My immune system is shot, not very strong, not very healthy, and I shouldn't be doing it. And then you go to food banks to get food, and that's all they give you on a platter. Everything has sugar, everything is not healthy, and that's life of somebody who is poor.
Sounds like there's an awful lot of things that have gone on in your life, Esther, and a lot of things that are heaping down upon you. Joanna, I'd love for you to take this phone call and start things off. Talk to Esther.
Okay. Well, Esther, you know, my first thought is that with all of these experiences that are happening to you, I can just hear how it becomes your automatic way of being, of expecting the next thing to happen that goes wrong, and then the next thing that goes wrong, and the next thing that goes wrong, and it just keeps spiraling, sort of thing for you. The problem we find is that when people get in that place and then they start establishing a belief system that this is what happens to me, everything's fair, like it's unfair. And as soon as you've made that decision that everything's unfair or I never get justice, you get to be right. Like, your mind is actually wired to make you find proof for that. And you will constantly find proof. And you probably are seeing it and you're saying to me, yeah, but there is proof. It's all over my life. I see it. But it takes you having that opportunity to stop for a moment and say, wow, is this my conversation from morning till night? Am I saying this all the time? Am I constantly saying it? If you are, you're constantly repeating that pattern in your brain, and you're literally creating a pattern in your brain, like with the neurons that are firing, and you're creating that experience over and over and over again. So it takes the strength, and I can hear you already have it, the ability to say, wow, this is all happening to me. But if you are going to stop and say, I can create a new reality, I can say that I'm going to get justice, I can say that I am going to have things work out for me. If you don't start saying those things, you will not have things work out for you. And with all the neuroscience and everything that we've ever researched, and it's happening all over the place, doctors and scientists are telling us for sure, it is in the brain. You cannot change it. You're going to truly, truly attract all those experiences in your life.
The name of their company is called Courageous Living, and they go out and they are highly sought after speakers. They do a lot of workshops. So I want to make that clear right off the top. I didn't think we were going to the phone so quickly. Right. But what are some of the other things? Just give everybody an overview, Joanna, if you would please, of some of the things that you folks have done. I know there's a book involved and workshops. Just tell everybody at home where it is that you're coming from and what you have to offer.
Okay, you want to go first?
Absolutely. I mean, Joanna and I now have been working together for 6 years, and we've had a company called Courageous Living. And it was really to help people get the courage to enrich every area of their life and really write the next chapter of their life in a joyful and fulfilling way. So we've had people from all walks of life come to these different seminars that we've been putting on. And we had tons of guest experts as well to really teach people in every area how to create the life they love. What we realized at the core, however, was that when people had these limiting beliefs and they were unable to, for example, get over, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm all alone, it was really for us to be able to get in there and zone in on those limiting beliefs for people to truly make a permanent change in their life. And Joanna, since 2002, has been working on a specific therapy called progressive neural resolution therapy, and it's a name that we coined together. But this type of therapy really gets at the very core of the actual programming. So when she was talking about, you know, Esther, you're really recreating this pattern, what we have to understand is that our life is a mirror of our thoughts. And so as we think it, so we see it. And of course, in every person's life, we have the opportunity to see both the positive and the negative. But once we focus in one direction, just like driving in a car, that's the direction that we go. And so now with this progressive neural resolution therapy that Joanna's been doing so successfully to get people over OCD, phobias, as well as limiting beliefs, now we've opened up a school for psychotherapists to actually get training in this because the demands become so high. And this actually at the end of June we'll be launching a new book called Undermined. And so it talks about the subconscious mind and also how we undermine ourselves with the 7 subconscious beliefs that sabotage our life and how to overcome them.
Wow. Joanna, are you able to tell us about those 7 beliefs?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we want you to, you know, see those in the book, and actually we have a deadline, we're working on that right now, but it's, you know, there are
just an overview then.
Yeah, for sure, the fundamental ones, like, for sure, everyone knows, and I'm sure we're all hearing it, I'm not good enough. It's the number one, no matter how many people I work with, it doesn't matter if they're in movie people, if they're the lady who's cleaning your house to the top executive presidents of company, everybody has this conversation underneath, I'm not good enough. And it's interesting how that manifests in our life. We either decide, I'm not good enough, and then become defeated by it. And next thing you know, it just overtakes us, and then our whole experience of life is everywhere. I'm just not good enough, I'm not good enough, and then we find the proof, Or the other way is we believe it at our core that we're not good enough, but then next thing you know, we figure we have to prove that we're good enough So then we are on this treadmill to try and prove, and whether we're doing it working all the time or anything that we're doing within our lives, to just constantly try and prove that we're good enough. So either way, it affects us. And then there's other ones like I'm not lovable. It's whether we don't trust, and trust is so big because it encompasses everything. It's like if you don't trust, you know, your spouse or people in your life, or then it becomes you don't trust God, you don't trust anyone. And then when you don't trust yourself, that's even worse because your foundation is even shattered, right, even with those beliefs.
Yeah. Well, we're off to a great start here on Living Clean, Living Well. We're going to take our first break, but when we come back, more of your phone calls with Joanna Andros and Tanya Chernova from Courageous Living and all the rest of the wonderful things that these ladies are doing. They're here for you tonight, so make sure that if you have a question, you call in. Our first break, we won't be long. Living Clean, Living Well will continue right after this.
My name's Carmen. The substance of choice for me was crack, mainly. Dibbled in cocaine and obviously started off with marijuana at a very young age. I was just disassociating myself with everyone around me and most of all with myself, not knowing who I was and, you know, just downward.
Thanks, man.
Welcome back. See, I said we wouldn't be very long. Joining me tonight on the show, Joanna Andros and Tanya Chernova from Courageous Living. They're here to talk to us about how we sabotage ourselves. And I guess in this forum, when we talk about addiction and substance abuse and trauma of any kinds, abuse of any kinds, sometimes I guess maybe some of us are sabotaging ourselves. So how do you get over that and live the life that you are meant to live and the one that you should be living? Right. Well, they've got some great ideas. So let's go back to those phone lines, shall we? They're lighting up tonight. I love this. Let's go to line 4, and Diane's calling in from Waterloo. Hi, Diane.
Hi, how are you this evening?
We're doing well. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I thank you for the opportunity to share my story. I'm hoping that perhaps it might help somebody else going through the same thing I am. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, hon.
My phone keeps cutting out. I don't know if you can hear. I'm hoping that you can. I'll just continue on.
Sure.
My fear is a fear of being alone. Now, I've always had this fear to some degree, but recently at work, I work at a nursing home. I'm a PSW. I was attacked by a resident. I was strangled. So due to that experience, I now suffer from something called post-traumatic stress disorder, and I haven't been able to work for 7 months. And this fear of being alone has really traumatized my life to quite a great degree, to the point of it's almost doing the opposite for me. And people that want to be close to me and want to share in my life and want to help me not be alone, for some reason I'm not quite sure of, I seem to be pushing the very people that want to help me away. And it's very distressing, very disturbing. It's caused me to suffer from chronic anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a horrible feeling. I do have a strong faith, and I do believe in God, and I do lean on Him desperately. But there are moments, very desperate moments, where, you know, you want to give in, you want to give up, you lose your hope. And that's what my dilemma is, and I was wondering what perhaps you could tell me or how you could help me along there.
Who would like to talk to Diane tonight?
Well, my first thought, Diane, is that so sorry to hear, you know, this is such a sad situation that you've been through this. But it sounds very typical from anybody who's gone through something that traumatic and to have post-traumatic stress syndrome. But at the core of it, you know, we know that lots of people have these behaviors that happen and they come out of their childhood. But also you can have a traumatic experience, obviously, in your adulthood that creates the same sort of experience where you've now made a decision about people or about trusting people or about being in danger. But no matter what, you've established some set of beliefs that you've tucked in your mind there and fears that are now running your mind constantly and firing. And so, you know, we're talking about this brain science and how the brain works. So just so you know that we have our frontal cortex here that is a very small part of our brain that keeps us conscious in the moment, that says, I don't want to be afraid and I want to have those people helping. You know, look at, they're all coming to love me. I should have them in my life and they should be here to help me. But the subconscious mind, where we store all of those programs and those traumas, those fears and those experiences, they become wired in as just a pattern and as, you know, just negative limiting beliefs that end up being stored in there, and they fire all the time. And when we're in a situation, this is what's happening. It's overtaking you. And then instantly you become in fear, you come in anxiety, all of those feelings. But for us, we feel that the healing comes when you actually work through that trauma and establish, because now as a woman who, I don't know, we don't know your age or anything like that of how old you are, but probably you know now that you want to heal this and you want to become free of this experience. It is working on a core level to heal that past trauma, but probably even something beyond that. Because how did this happen for you in your life? I mean, I can honestly, seriously say with all honesty that, you know, and all the work that we do, that we see that people, it comes right from their childhood, that you already had a belief way before that, that you maybe couldn't trust people, that people would hurt you, or something could happen to you. And then lo and behold, you keep getting proof and more proof and more proof, and then this experience happens for you. So to be able to understand that this could be more of a pattern that's been going on through your whole life, but that you can heal that, and to look at that, because again, it would be able to help you create a new conversation about that.
So you start to heal then, Joanne, and it sounds like you guys want to talk about, you know, the inner child, which we've heard about before. I'm sure anybody that's been to therapy has heard about the inner child. So just let's lead them through, not too in depth, but how do you heal? You talk about those neurons and everything. How do you heal?
Well, in the progressive neural resolution therapy, what happens in that particular session is we take you back to the very earliest memory that you have of feeling alone. Where were you when you felt most alone in your life? The very first earliest feeling. What were you wearing? Where were you? What happened? What was it that actually triggered this particular decision in your life that you decided, I'm all alone? And once we actually have this incident, and it doesn't even have to be traumatic, it could be just left at the kindergarten or, you know, abandoned for just even a very short period of time. Once you actually get it into the programming of I'm all alone, the subconscious mind actually creates that decision to protect you. And so what happens is that belief system keeps you safe from other people for the rest of your life, and as you accurately said, pushes you away. And so in the progressive neural resolution therapy, what Joanna would do is guide you into a process where the adult you would go and meet the young child that's literally suffering and still literally running your life, and then go through a healing process of being able to rescue that child that continues to call out to this very day. So those feelings of anxiety, that feeling of deep aloneness, that feeling that you want to be triggered and just push people away, that, believe it or not, is that small child literally still living in the programs of your mind. And in the progressive neural resolution therapy, PNRT, that particular way is where we resolve it once and for all, and believe it or not, where we rewire the brain so that you never go back to that same pattern again.
Well, I guess it's great to be able to identify where these things are coming from. And it sounds like it's going to be a bit of a learning process here tonight for us all, and it's very interesting. Diane, I would encourage you to keep watching tonight. I'm sure you're going to get some great nuggets of information as well. Both Joanna and Tanya's contact information is on the bottom of the screen for you. We're going to move on to another phone call. We're going to go to line 3 now. Calling in from Burlington is Leslie. Hi, Leslie. Thanks for your patience and welcome to the show.
Yes, it's wonderful to talk to such caring and professional people. I have been addicted to Valium for over 25 years, and I have had a...
Leslie, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, just keep talking. You can't have your TV on. I'm sorry. There's a delay, okay?
Anyway, I just want to say that I thought I would never be able to get over this bondage it's something that I have had terrible feelings about myself, no self-worth, no confidence in myself, depression and everything else. But I am a Christian, and I just want to say that I believe a divine intervention took place last week with me. I, for the first time, asked the Lord to take this away, and I totally surrendered my bondage to Him, and I said to Him, I said, Lord, please release me from this horrible pain that I've been feeling all along. And if people could do this, if people could reach out to Jesus and just possibly just give their life to Him, and He will take it away from them. It really works.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like your healing has already begun, Leslie, and that's wonderful. Sometimes, ladies, it's just a first step, isn't it?
100%. And you know, it's so important because the belief that you previously had, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful story, the belief that you previously had that keeps you in this place of such a lack of self-worth that you feel you need to turn to Valium to keep the anxiety at bay. When you have a belief that supersedes that strong faith in thinking whether it's Jesus or, you know, your own version of whatever the faith is that you have, when you reach out and say, I am worthy of being loved, and that belief system supersedes the one that you had that was lack of self-worth, that in and itself actually starts to change the neurological patterns in the mind, and you start to create a new chapter of your life. So congratulations for starting this wonderful new chapter, and continue that beautiful faith, and know within yourself that that light continues to grow, and love yourself. That is the most important step to moving forward.
It's so great to share as well, Leslie. Thank you. Let's go to line 2 now, and Dee Dee's calling in from Toronto tonight. Hi, Dee Dee.
Hello, I can barely hear you.
Hi, we can hear you too. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it very much. I would like to say I'm now a senior. However, as I was growing up, I was always in the shadow of my sister. It was always her that did good. And now, every second month, hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, I turn to drugs for some reason. I go to this house where my friend lives where they do drugs, and I sit there sometimes for 2 days. I'm not continually doing it, but, you know, that's what I do, and I'm just wondering what is wrong. Why am I doing that?
Okay. Well, you know, Dee Dee, the first thing I think of is the fact that you mentioned that right away, the story about your sister. So obviously that's really real for you still. Even though you're a senior, that's very real for you still in your life. That there's feelings associated with that. Like, what did you make it mean about your sister? What did you make it mean about yourself? Did you compare yourself? Did you think you weren't as good as she was? Or, you know, this happens a lot in the therapy work that I do, that, you know, we have all of a sudden the child's there and they get all the attention from mom and dad, and then all of a sudden the sister arrives or their brother arrives, a new baby. And how even as a child we create right from that point this feeling of jealousy, or that we must not be good enough, or maybe we're not lovable, or maybe they don't want us, or we don't belong anymore, or any of those feelings. And for a child, it's so devastating that it becomes the truth in that moment, and then they start seeing their whole world through that filter, and then start seeing those experiences all through their life that way. So the fact that you're saying that you're a senior and you still immediately are thinking about your sister and this relationship, and something then triggers you to go to drugs and take drugs, makes me immediately, I mean, obviously I don't know a lot of all the other details, but would think, yeah, what are you making it mean in your mind? What is it at the core? Is it immediately in that moment that you think then you're not worthy, or there's something about you isn't good enough? And then you sabotage, as Tanya was talking about, immediately then it's a sabotage. Well, if I'm not good enough, why bother? Just forget everything. go take the drugs, do whatever I need to do, and then, yeah, you get right into that pattern.
Yeah.
When we're in a situation where we're not happy about something in our lives, what is it that you ladies have found that makes us reach for things that typically aren't good for us? You know, our first caller, Esther, she was reaching for sugar. You know, we've had Dee Dee who's reaching for drugs. You know, you mentioned some of the other addictions that other people are going through, and gambling and things like that. Why are we reaching out and doing this when we're hurting inside?
When we're hurting inside, we get triggered by fear. I mean, ultimately, we're in a state of fear, and when we're in a state of fear, it's either fight or flight. That's our reaction. And so when we go into flight, we go through escape. So drugs, anything that puts us into a fantasy world of actual escape and some sort of reprieve so that we get some form of pleasure. And sometimes it's fight, and we get aggressive, and we get abusive, and we start resenting and reacting against our environment. And so ultimately, those are really the only two patterns. It's either fight or flight until we get into a place where we can love ourselves enough to move into some form of healing.
Right. And so it really is numbing out.
Yeah.
We just immediately say
That's the flight part, right?
That
So
is the flight
alcohol
part.
and drugs and
Any
things
way
like that.
to numb out that feeling. And it's amazing how sugar and food is huge for people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything that they decide to numb out. But it's to not feel the feelings.
That's right.
Just can't feel the feelings. It's too painful to feel the feelings. And the moment that we establish something like eating that tub of ice cream as a child, or at 13 or 14 or 16 or whatever age it is, or we decide, yeah, taking marijuana, wow, it just took me out of it. I didn't have to hear the chatter. And that's what we find is the biggest thing. People are constantly with this battle of inner chatter, and they want it to stop. They just want the volume turned down. And so to turn to alcohol or to the drugs or anything like that, it just numbs it out and quiets it. But we say, why don't we heal it? Why don't we go to that inner chatter and listen to it for a change and say, what is it really saying? Because I know we get to this place like we just don't want to hear it, or we just want to shut it off. But it's like, write it down in a journal. Find out how bad it is. And see what your insides are really talking to you about and telling you. And that's what we need to deal with. And we can heal that.
Yeah. Most people, believe it or not, think that doing drugs or actually eating the bad food or gambling, we think that's the self-abuse. The real self-abuse is the inner chatter. The real self-abuse is that voice saying, you're an idiot, you don't deserve to live, you're a horrible person, you're not good enough. So that's the self-abuse that we're escaping by actually using something like a crutch to get us out of it.
Wow. Interesting conversation tonight here on Living Clean, Living Well. We are going to take another short break, but we will be back with more of your phone calls and more from Joanna and Tanya. We'll be right back.
Is someone else's drinking affecting your life? Does it make you feel angry?
Don't yell at me because you're mad at your mom. She's the drunk, not me.
Does it make you feel sorry for yourself?
Hey, Tanya's drinking again, and maybe next time.
Or does it even make you feel frightened?
Does Daddy have to drink so much?
No matter how you feel, we can help. We're Al-Anon family groups, and we know what it's like. Just call 1-888-4-AL-ANON. To help them, you have to help yourself first.
Once I came in to look at the establishment, you know, like I said, open book, open mind, everything was just the right feeling. And you know, like right now I'm getting warm thinking about going back to that day when I came in to look at the establishment. And the people that work there, I won't even say work there, that enjoy being there. They're not, you know, oh geez, I'm going to work today. The people there, everyone, right from the person who says hello to the last person you speak to the person you shake the hand when you're walking out there for the last time. Everybody was remarkable, incredible, and I love them all.
Welcome back, everybody. Tonight we're talking to Joanna Andros and Tanya Ternova from Courageous Living, who are here tonight to talk about some of the things that we do to sabotage us from having a great life. It's a learning process tonight for us all, and me too. I'm taking in every moment, and I hope you are as well. Our phone lines are open, and I'd love for you ladies to give out your information. Maybe people are fascinated by what you have to say. I know that you've got one book written, there's another one on the way. Tell people how they would get a hold of you.
Well, right now you can get a hold of us at PNRT.ca. We just launched this website to talk more about the progressive neural resolution therapy that truly heals the sabotage at its core. There's also more information about our company on courageousliving.com, and our new book that's coming out in June is called Undermined: The 7 Subconscious Beliefs That Sabotage Your Life and How to Overcome Them.
Wonderful. And so that's how they can get a hold of you.
That's right.
Terrific. So there you go, folks. And of course, we're going to have it on the bottom of our screen throughout the rest of the evening. So let's go back to our phone lines, and we're going to go to Toronto now. Calling in on line 5 is Shauna. Hi, Shauna. You're live on the show. Go ahead.
Yes, hello. First off, I'd like to say that I really believe it's fate that I found you, actually, because I was using my remote control and I couldn't get another channel. I wound up finding you and listening to the program, and it's exactly what I've been struggling with. And basically, my story is this. I've been on my own since I was about 16 years of age, and from that point I decided that I was going to be career-focused. I set very specific goals for myself and said, you know, I want to achieve these goals, and I will not have a child until I do that. Well, I've achieved relative success, but not fully what I wanted, and a lot of it has been through poor decision-making at times, you know, whether it's getting caught up in a poor relationship or just choosing a negative outside influence. And what's happened is I find myself now at 39, I've just had a child, just come off mat leave, and I feel like a failure because I have not achieved what I wanted to achieve. And I feel as though it's too late now. And it's like I feel like I'm so close yet so far away. And as soon as I feel even a glimmer of inspiration that, yes, it's not too late, I can go for my dreams, I can do this, negative voices start coming in telling me, you can't, Shauna, you're too fat, you know, you're too ugly, you know, you can't speak properly, or, you know, you're just too old, it's not going to happen. So I feel as though I'm kind of backed into a corner, and I just don't know what to do.
Okay. Wow. So Shauna, thank you so much for being honest and sharing, and we're so thrilled that you found us with your remote control, and we're the only channel that worked. So, you know, I hear a ton of core beliefs, a ton of negative core beliefs, which you hear, and you've been acknowledging. So that's really good. At first of all, that you've even just heard them out loud, and you're saying them out loud. That's the first step, the awareness to actually understand, wow, if I keep saying that, that's exactly what I'm going to get. It's all going to be gone. Like, I can't produce anything. Because if you constantly keep saying, it's too late, I'm too old, I'm too fat, my dreams are gone, you are going to be right. It's like, a lot of people have heard about the law of attraction and how the science has even proven that what you think about is what you bring about, that literally your thoughts create an energy field and it projects out to the world, and then you get those experiences back by means of focus, because you're focusing on that nothing's ever going to work. So first of all, that's a first step, to have the awareness, which you have. But to heal some of that wounding in the pack, I mean, of course, I always go back to healing what's there, because I get how loud that chatter may be, but where does that come from? That's probably from a long time ago. And the fact that you even mentioned that 16, you left home and you've been on your own, and that you made a decision that you're going to work hard. Well, interesting, if you've made that decision to work hard, I kind of use the analogy of, you know, that I think there's kind of the story of like the donkey on the treadmill with the carrot dangling in front, and he's never going to get to the carrot. It just keeps going and going and going. So the moment that you've made a decision, I have to work hard, and I'm on my own, and I have to do this, you might never get to that place where you feel that you have actually achieved it. Because you will constantly have that chatter, it's never enough. it's never enough. I got to work harder. I haven't got it yet. And so we encourage you to look at those beliefs and those conversations that could be really running you.
Yeah. And one of the first steps that you can actually take to moving in the direction of really healing and starting to feel fulfilled, because it's only from a place of almost like balanced emotions that you can even move upward, because you know how hard it is when you feel really defeated to think of really succeeding. Tonight, before you go to sleep, take a piece of paper and start writing down all the different areas of your life where you have succeeded. And be kind and generous to yourself. To have gone out on your own at 16 and to even be where you are right now, bravo. Think back to every single moment of success that you can muster up, including your beautiful child, and start to feel the feelings change within you. And then when you get to the very end of that list, as you know it now, create for yourself a vision for success even a month from now. What would life look like from this happier point if you would actually say to yourself, I've succeeded and achieved everything I've wanted to this moment in my life. What else is there in store for me? Not from a place of beating yourself up and making yourself wrong, but coming from a place of what's next for me? Life is still so exciting. We meet women in their 70s and 80s that are starting over from scratch, excited at what's in store for them. Life is far from over, and being an example to your child, this is right now your greatest victory, to be able to take a deep breath, love yourself, love your circumstance, and move forward powerfully.
So this is how you stop these negative patterns from emerging. You start writing down the positive ones and start believing on what's in the paper?
You know what, the process, it depends on the different beliefs, and Joanna will talk more about that, but the process, really, there's different ways of doing it. Something like this, where you just can't see the success because you're so focused on where you failed. The first step is to start looking at where you have succeeded, or where you're not alone, or where things are fair, from some of our other callers, so that you recognize that, you know what you're seeing is an illusion of your beliefs. That's the first step, because you're aware that something's wrong, but you need to see where there still is something good. And when you get into the feeling place of, yes, there is hope for me, because hope, as you know, is such an important feeling, then you can start moving into the future in a positive way. But it's hard to move into the future in a positive way where all you are going to keep looking for is defeat. And then there's the deeper healing.
Wow, absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Boy, learning lots here tonight. I'd like to move on now to line 1, and calling in from Midland is Dave. Hi, Dave. Welcome back to Living Clean, Living Well.
Hi, Teresa. How are you?
We're doing well. It's good to hear your voice again.
Yeah, it's good to hear yours, too. I watch every Sunday. I just don't call in every Sunday.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to talk about, like what we're talking about tonight is core beliefs. And you know, Wendy doesn't mind me talking about this. Wendy's my wife, for the other ladies. When I met Wendy, she was in Georgian Wood, which is a treatment facility, and one of her core beliefs was that she wasn't worthy. You know, and we're both alcoholics, we're both addicts, you know, and I mean, I had that core belief too. I thought I was a bad person, I didn't deserve anything. So when I met Wendy and she left the treatment program, I would phone her every night, and at the end of every conversation, I would say, remember, you're worthy. And I believe in positive affirmations. And then eventually, at the end of the conversation, she would tell me that she is worthy. And we did this, I don't know how long, a couple months. You know, this is before we even thought of being a couple. But, you know, I'm very fortunate to have her, because she reminds me when I'm feeling down that I'm worthy. And I still go there sometimes. You know, I'm almost 13 years clean, and sometimes I just don't feel worthy. And she reminds me that I am. And so I think positive affirmations is a powerful tool.
And the exciting thing, Dave, is that you are truly creating new neuronal patterns in your brain every time you say that you're worthy. And you're creating a new way that it fires together, you know, the neurons. The science of it is that you actually create new patterns. So, you know, affirmations are so important, saying something different. So bravo to you for doing that with her, and then her actually having that switch around for her. And that's what happens. If we could say something different and something positive, But that's the problem. We just don't go to bed at night saying those things, do we? We go to bed saying all the negative things and all the things that have gone wrong. We wake up in the morning with the same negative things, all the things that we're probably going to do wrong today. What a way to start our day. And then we just start creating and fulfilling on exactly that intention. So to be able to create that, and you know, with all the work I've done, and you know, in my background as well, in our my own personal family, that there's addiction, always at the core of it has always been that I'm not worthy. And all the people that I work with, it's that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. It's such a huge one for so many people. So first of all, to just even be consciously changing that conversation, consciously, that means you in the moment now, changing that conversation any which way you can, is so powerful to create new results in your life and new patterns in your brain. And then if you find, because there's going to be a lot of callers who listen and people, we know that then it's just too hard. They're just so deeply ground in there that they're not worthy. They can't get beyond it. And then they keep falling back into the addictive patterns. That's where we're saying that there is hope. There is something to work on that, to heal that, finally, where it will be easier. Not just the affirmations, but truly doing a therapy work that actually works on those, that wiring.
Why are we so hard on ourselves?
Oh, it's terrible.
Why is that?
It's such self-abuse. I mean, I grew up my whole life doing the same thing to myself. Look in the mirror and it's like, you're ugly, you're not good enough, you're not worthy. I mean, every conversation I could imagine. But to get to a place now to truly look in the mirror, and it took a lot of work at the beginning, you know, to even just stand there and say it and the tears rolling down your face, to actually say, I love you, or I'm worthy. It just was so crazy that I couldn't even say that to myself. But it's been so exciting and one of the most important journeys of my life to get to that place where I can truly say I'm worthy and I love myself. And coming from where I have been, what a change. And anybody can do that. I know that this is what's so wonderful about this. People can heal.
You know, it seems that we are works of art. We are works in progress, aren't we? And we have to be kind to ourselves. I'm guilty of that. You know, I was reading a book the other night. I love reading before I go to bed, and it was, you know, talking a little bit about what you ladies are talking about, and it had the question, it said, do you love yourself? And I'm going up, and I started to think about it, and I went, no. And that took me aback. And I realized, you know, I'm such a hard taskmaster on myself, and I started to think, well, why don't I love myself? Well, I'm a little disappointed in you, Teresa, and that you know, that inner voice starts coming, you know, and going back to one of our previous callers, you know, I was setting goals, you know, and that sort of thing. So
and showing you proof. Probably, oh, see, well, you blew it there and there and there. It's crazy how the brain works.
And I got a little choked up, so I can really relate to Dave and Wendy, you know, and for you in your personal journey of you know, sometimes not feeling worthy enough. Makes me angry that we're hard on ourselves.
And it's a really important point. I mean, honestly, it's so devastating because we've all had these thoughts at one point. It's human to think that way because the brain is programmed for survival. And anytime we're in a place of the unknown, like we don't know what's coming next, we often go immediately to the very worst case scenario. And so we can be given 100 compliments and 1 criticism, and you know that the human brain will focus on that criticism like it's the only thing it's heard. And that's the battle when it comes to being a human being, is that you have to really be your best cheerleader and really become aware. And what Dave was talking about with his relationship with Wendy was so key, because at one point he'd feel her moment of weakness and say, you're worthy. Whereas some of us are completely unsupported, and we don't realize when we're falling into that, we're getting triggered. And instead of supporting ourselves, we actually go into a downward spiral, believing what our negative programming is saying. We're believing that criticism. We fall into it and forget all the compliments, all the accomplishments, and then we just fall into that. And sometimes when we go to substance abuse, because we sink so low, because we not low in terms of, but just low in terms of how we feel the next morning, or when we come from it, we think, how could I have done this to myself? But we forget again, the abuse is really not so much the addiction, it's the inner chatter. Once you realize that worse than the actual addiction is the inner chatter. You'll start to focus on how can I catch myself before I get to that place and start to say to myself, I love myself. How can I look for that support in those crucial moments?
So replace the negative chatter with some positive things and get yourself back on
as
a better
start,
framework.
absolutely. Yeah, and even great music, even something to change the energy in that moment, because we get so serious about it. We think, yeah, I really do look terrible. Anyone who puts on their favorite song and starts to become playful with it and just, you know, take it less seriously in that moment can make a switch. But it is temporary, and what we really want people to get is that there's permanent healing, because that inner chatter does come back.
And baby steps. So just even, it's little baby steps where just as we were saying before about talking in the mirror, that might even be a big step, you know, for people to actually say something like, I love myself in the mirror. But what if you just say, I like my nose, or I like my lips, or I like my hair? You know, just to start with baby steps. Because even for a lot of people, that is really hard. But just eventually, it starts becoming easier and easier, and then you start noticing other things about yourself. And that's what's important, as we just keep building on it and building on it.
Yeah. Great phone calls tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing. We're going to be back to take more of your calls right after this short break. Living Clean, Living Well continues.
I have a beautiful relationship now with my kids, which I didn't have for the past 3 years. So it's great. I think back, because of my occupation, I have a lot of time to be with myself, and that's what caused me to abuse the substances that I did, because I had nothing to think about or to strive for. Now I've got my short-term and my long-term goals, and I know it's going to take time, effort, and energy on my part, which I did not put forth before. Now I've got the tools to do it, and I will do it, and I am doing it.
Statistics state that it is likely you know a victim of abuse. It could be a friend, a relative, a colleague. It could even be you. 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys will be sexually abused before they reach the age of 18. Please give them hope. Help us make it stop. Go to abusehurts.com and give to the Canadian Centre for Abuse Awareness.
We're talking to Joanna Andros and Tanya Chernova tonight from Courageous Living. We have loved this discussion. We have got 3 more phone calls, and I promise we're going to get to every last one. Let's go to line 2, and Martha's calling in from Brampton. Hi, Martha.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, I just wanted to say I've been sober for 10 years. I made the conscious decision when I got pregnant with my first child that, you know, enough was enough and that I was going to stop. I've been sober for 10 years. I have 3 beautiful children now. And my problem is that the stress of the kids and everything that entails with just stopping the drug abuse and, you know, going into a full-time mom at 150%, I'm finding myself now, after 10 years, that when I get really stressed out and high-strung, that my addiction is like grabbing me from the inside and just screaming at me, you know, come back, come back, come back. And I would never do anything to jeopardize my children or put them in a bad situation, but I'm having a really hard time trying to stop that voice from just ripping my chest open and going back to a life that I don't ever want to see again.
Well, Martha, my first thought is about you having support for you as a woman. So even taking aside the part of the addiction, that we find that a lot of women in Courageous Living, we've dealt with a lot of women, and that's why we created the company, because a lot of women get into this place of having their children, taking care of everything, the family, the home, everything, and burn out. We call it the doing, done. Next thing you know, you're done, and then we find women are leaving their marriage or angry at the kids, angry at everybody, angry at life, you know, getting breast cancer, whatever it is, because they're just burned out. But they're not listening to the the clues that are there beforehand. They're like, you're getting to that threshold where it's up here. So we totally encourage you to be supported by other women. Like, how much are you getting from other women? We do have programs that are called the Mentor Circle, where we actually have women come together and they create a new vision for their life and then get support. So that every month, even if it's just once a month, you have 3 hours for yourself that you can get away from the kids, get away from everything else, and then be supported with a great group of women around you, but also get in touch with your dreams again. That's what's happening when your focus is only over there. No wonder you're overwhelmed. You're going to definitely need some support as a woman.
Yeah, and when you chose so extremely courageously to stop, to stop the addiction for your children, you didn't do it for yourself. You did it for them. And now that they've taken everything from you in terms of energy, because you get so much fulfillment, and now you're getting drained. Once again, you're still not doing something for yourself. So you haven't fed yourself yet as a person. And what's really actually reaching out for you is the call to say, please feed me, love me, give to me. It's really not the addiction calling you. It's actually your spirit calling you back, beautiful. So answer that call.
Martha, I wish that we had another 10 minutes to spend with you. You need some support, and we hope that you still keep watching Living Clean, Living Well. There's going to be a lot of resources on here for you in the coming weeks that will help calm that inner terrorist, as I've heard of it referred to before, that one that's screaming at her inside. So Martha, thank you for calling in tonight, and keep watching. Let's go to line 4, and John is calling from Burlington. Hi, John.
Hello, hello.
Good to hear your voice too, sir.
I just wanted to call in and share briefly. I'm recovering today, but I'm not a hard-nosed kind of guy. I'm happy to be sober, but only because of one reason. And that day one, when I decided, and it was my decision, with the help of some professional people, to take a new direction. The new direction was acceptance, not quitting drinking. The minute I accepted that it was my problem and nobody else's, I started to get relief. And this is my challenge in my life, and I challenge anybody out there to take on a new direction and ask for help. Whatever you have out there that you feel a strength in, use it, hang on to it. And don't be hard on yourself, because sobriety is here right now at this point, being sober. To get lost in this disease is like, a boat without a paddle. I mean, it's just a scary thing. But when you can get up in the morning and say, well, I don't feel like having this to eat, I'm going to eat that, boy, I'm recovering. When I can go to work, do a good job, and pay somebody a compliment, get compliments in return, my life is getting well. And I'm seeking little things in life right now, but there's a lot of big, beautiful things happening. Acceptance. No people, places, and things are going to run my life anymore, and I don't blame nobody for who I am. I have been a fool. I've been hasty. And you know what? I like being a nice guy. And gals, I think you are the greatest for taking the time at this hour at night, and I wish you all well. Continue this program, because you gave me a lot of great inspiration. Just by turning this TV on tonight, I'm not alone. Absolutely, and sobriety is working. I'm sober one more day.
Awesome.
So happy to hear that.
John's one of the most positive people. I love it when he calls in.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got it, doesn't he?
Positive. Absolutely. What an inspiration.
And that you empowered yourself. Like, you got the power. That's the point. As soon as we become accountable, we realize we have so much power.
Yeah. Let's get to that one last phone call now. Line 1, and Adrian's calling in from Merrickville. Hi, Adrian.
Hi, good evening.
Hi. Have you got a question for us?
I do. I'm in recovery also, just for about 38 days, but I'm feeling positive and doing well. But watching your show tonight, I accidentally tuned in, and I've heard you speaking of some things I learned in my 30-day program. And looking in the mirror every day to say that I love you is something that we're supposed to do, and I haven't been able to do that yet. I've tried taping pictures of me as a little girl up to help, and it still didn't help me. So I'm wondering if there's an easier way, if there's something I can do, because I want to be able to do that, but I really don't love myself.
Got it. Okay. My thought on that, Adrian, would be to even if it's just to write a list of the things that you are proud of yourself for, or even if proud's too big of a word, it's just that you know that there's, as Tanya was mentioning earlier on one of the calls, your accomplishments and some of the things that you're just like, you can totally turn that around and look at the good things that you've done. And then to read that list every night or every morning. And just to say that to yourself and keep getting yourself present to that. It is like, it does take a while for you to get used to saying something positive. As we were talking about before, this negative chatter, most people are living in this state of negative chatter all the time. It's horrible. So to be able to start saying something different, something positive, even just turning around some conversations. When we were saying, what we were saying before, well, there's got to be something that you like about yourself. There's got to be, whether it's your hair, whether it's one feature that you can say, your legs, your toes, your fingers, you know, whatever it is, and you just start looking at that with appreciation and start saying those things. Do you have any ideas on that?
No, I just think that this is even a great opportunity to ask you what that might be, beautiful. What is it that you can actually appreciate about yourself now?
I love being a mom. I guess that's my favorite thing about myself.
You love your?
Yeah, I love being a mom. I'm good at that.
Oh, so great. Wonderful. Great, wonderful. And something else. Tell us one more thing.
Ooh, something else. Something about physically?
Yeah. You know what? I'll actually give you a really wonderful exercise to do tonight if you want to. Just before bedtime, when you're in, when you're lying down and you're comfortable. How old is your child?
7.
7. And you know that your child loves you unconditionally, right?
Yes, he's wonderful, yes.
Wonderful. The exercise that we'd like you to do tonight is actually imagine yourself in the body of your child and looking at you through the eyes of your child. Imagine yourself like you're looking through the eyes of your child at you, the way that your child looks at you with the love, adoration, and full self-acceptance, the full acceptance and adoration of who you are. Look at yourself through the eyes of your child and feel what it feels like to be in the unconditional love of someone who truly adores you. That will be your warm-up, and then when you get up the next morning and you look in the mirror, remember what it felt like to feel the warmth and the love from your child, and knowing that if your child could see that beauty in you, you too can now find it and start to warm up to it and connect to it.
That's wonderful. Adrienne, does that help?
Gosh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. That sounded pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. I do that exercise a lot. It's really helpful, honestly. Because we can't accept ourselves, but you know what? When we know for sure someone else has that for us, when we can climb in, and it's very easy to visualize that, all of a sudden you see yourself in a way you've never seen yourself before, and that's
you'll see your beauty.
That's right.
You'll see everything that's so wonderful and that's so lovable.
New eyes.
That's wonderful. Adrienne, thanks so much for calling in, and I hope that you continue to watch Living Clean, Living Well as well. We are going to take our final break here on the show. When we come back, we are going to wrap up and have our final thoughts. So stay with us. With these two ladies, you know those final thoughts will be good. So here we go. Final thoughts. Tanya, your thoughts to everybody that's watching tonight about what it is that you want them to know.
Oh my gosh, we want you to know that you're a beautiful, incredible, extraordinary person, as hard as it is to believe sometimes. We want you to reach into the beauty of you and connect with that. The purpose that you have living in this incredible life truly is to love yourself and to love others. Know that you're being supported wherever you are.
Joanna?
Okay. Same sort of thing, that no matter what, number one, know that right at the core, you've got to love yourself. So it's the number one thing to be working on. It's like, don't all the other symptoms around, there's lots of things around. Don't get distracted by the fact that what are you trying to numb out? What are you avoiding? And at the core of it, no doubt, it's always there about loving yourself and being good enough. That's where we need to heal and start doing those baby steps to start loving yourself.
So, I don't know, I'm feeling a lot better about myself, and I hope that you folks are out there as well. Thank you so much. Joanna, Tanya, thank you for coming on the show. We hope to have you back again soon when that new book launches and everything.
We're excited.
And we thank you. Thank you for being here week after week. Thank you for sharing. And remember, this is a great day to start living clean, living well. See you next week.